What if everything went wrong for Batman at the exact same time? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand, then review it dramatically back to you. Today, we're going to be covering Batman Eternal, one of the most requested and confusing story arcs ever written for Batman. It totals about 52 issues, so we're going to break it down into multiple parts and focus primarily on Batman himself. We will be mentioning the side plots, but if you want to fully understand what happened with those, you will have to read this for yourself. And if you enjoy Batman and you want to support Comicstorian, our channel, then please go to jackofalltrades.com and put in the promo code Comicstorian20. It'll be valid for the next couple of days, giving you a great discount on Batman t-shirts just like this one. They've sponsored this episode and we thank them for doing that. So if you want to help us and you want to help them, please go to the website. Now, I think it's time for us to move forward with Batman.
And this is part 1. We begin at the end, with the city in flames. Gotham has lost. Batman is unmasked and strapped to the bat signal. I have taken everything from you, piece by piece. Watch, Bruce, as you lose everything. Things begin with the arrival of Jason Baird, the newest lieutenant at the Gotham City Police Department. Harvey welcomes him at the train station and Baird asks where Gordon is. The man is a legend and he was hoping to meet him. But Gordon is currently pinned down fighting the animals that roam the streets of Gotham. That is until Batman leaps into the scene, taking out Professor Pig's guns before he can do any more harm with them. As Pig runs off into the subways, Batman stands there with his friend, Gordon, and the two of them head deeper into the subway to try and stop Pig's gang. As they run down into the subways, they split up, with Gordon taking out the thugs and Batman running after Professor Pig himself. He quickly catches up to Pig and he beats his face in. But before he can do anything serious, an interesting call comes in from Alfred. Sir, you might want to catch up with Gordon. He is chasing a suspect onto active subway lines, and there are trains coming from both sides. Gordon has in fact cornered a man there. With civilians watching, Gordon demands that the thug drop his gun. And the man tells Gordon, I'm not holding no gun! That's crazy. Gordon can see the gun. Just drop it, and this will all be over, he tells the man. But the man still doesn't understand. So Gordon fires a shot at him, hitting the power box behind the man. It explodes, shorting out the train tracks, turning off the ability to change tracks, and the ability to brake. Batman calls up Alfred as he's running over there. Shut down all the power! I don't care how many buildings you need to turn off! But Batman's plan doesn't work. And Gordon sees the two trains coming straight at each other, and he repeatedly says to himself, no, 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 no! The conductor, she just calls up to the entire train car, and she apologizes to everyone on the train. Batman arrived just in time to pull Gordon off of the tracks, but no one was able to stop the two trains from slamming headlong into each other. Gordon was brought in that night for manslaughter, and the beginning of the end started. The wreck hit all of the news outlets. Everyone in the Bat family saw it. Barbara suited up as Batgirl. She couldn't believe that this was happening and she would save her father. Harper Row was in shock. Jason felt that maybe it was time to return home from Hong Kong. Batwing had a feeling that he'd be needed. Batwoman decided that she would come in to give them all a hand. Tim Drake took a break from the Titans to rejoin the family. And while they were all en route to Gotham, Batman stepped up to Jim Gordon's cell. We're going to get you out, Jim. And Gordon asks him to step out of the shadow so that he can see Batman's face. How many people, Batman? I have to know. But Batman just looks at him and says nothing. That bad, huh? I need to know what you saw, Jim, Batman asks him. I swear he was holding a gun. I swear on it. But they showed me the footage. I shot an unarmed man and in the process killed so many innocent people. There has to be more to this. Let me get a blood sample, Batman says, taking Jim's hand. Maybe I just made a mistake, Batman. Maybe I saw something that wasn't there. I know that's not true, Jim, and you do too. I know you feel it. Batman takes off to inspect the footage of the subway, and he finds himself joined by Catwoman. While she's trying to get his mind off of the case because she's bored, he manages to realize who the man that Gordon shot at is. He's a thug for Carmine Falcone, and that means that Falcone has returned to Gotham. Catwoman reels back in shock, because Carmine and her have history that ended with her scarring his face last time. Elsewhere in Gotham, a young girl named Stephanie Brown is returning home, and she needs to get into the garage, but oddly, she's found that her father has locked it. So she sneaked into the side window to discover her father is in a costume surrounded by supervillains, and apparently is planning something. Then she finds herself knocked out. Back in the cells of the GCPD, Baird is asking Gordon how he's holding up. Gordon is his hero, and he doesn't like that he had to arrest him on day 1. But Gordon assures him that he did the right thing. So Baird asks him. He's out there, isn't he? Batman is on the case. Over in the Batcave, Batman is trying to put all of this together. Professor Pig, the random thug, Carmine Falcone, and conveniently, Penguin is apparently moving shipments of weapons all over the city tonight. It's all coming together. He can see it. There's a gang war coming, and Gordon is trapped in the middle. All over Gotham, the elements begin to move faster and faster. Stephanie Brown wakes up with a gun pressed to her head from her father, and he begins to open fire on her, telling her that she was a mistake, and maybe he can get it right the second time. She flees from the house as quickly as possible, and she begins to run down the street. She'll be on the run for a bit, and we'll come back to her much later. While on the rest of Gotham, all of the gangs are getting more courageous because someone in the police station is canceling all of the calls to the police. The police have no idea what's going on. To make matters worse, the new commissioner, Ford, has decided to send the entire GCPD after the vigilante known as Batman, and Commissioner Gordon has been sentenced to Blackgate Prison without parole. While Batman does his own investigation trying to get answers out of Carmine, Batgirl tracks her own clues, and she decides that she will save her father, leaving Batman to his own devices as she leaves for her own investigation. Batman takes off to see if he can get Red Robin's help, but Red Robin has already come to town and he's begun investigating a situation in which children have gone missing, and he's kind of unavailable right now. As Batman leaves, we see that Red Robin is dealing with a case all of his own in which the children are getting sick or they go missing. He's traced the situation back to some crazy new nanotechnology, and just as he begins to figure out who's controlling this technology, it wakes up. Oh hell, he says as it approaches him. But while this is going on, a young girl named Harper Row is saving Vicky Val, and they are both on the floor right beneath Red Robin as he comes crashing through the floor. The nanoswarm looks up and it sees all of these gang members and Vicky Val and Harper Row, and it decides that they are the newest threats, so it moves from Red Robin to assault them. Red Robin runs out of the room yelling for everyone to follow him, and they lock the swarm inside. But the swarm just assaults one of Harper Row's friends named Cullen. It goes inside of him, and it goes dormant, as he falls to the ground unconscious. Red Robin, Vicky, and Harper all stand there, unsure of what they should do next. Meanwhile, across the globe in Tokyo, a man is staring at his computer, with a newspaper in front of him. The paper reads, "The gang war is going to be breaking out soon," by Vicky Vale. And on his screen, he can see that the swarms have activated. Oh dear, young Mr. Wayne isn't going to like this one bit. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Batman is getting some weird reports about Arkham Asylum and some weird mystical energies happening underneath it, so he sends in Batwing to help Spectre. And Batwing and Spectre have quite an adventure ahead of them, as Batman himself begins to follow a fleeing truck that he tagged earlier during one of the shipments. It's time to see where this is going. As he gets closer to the truck, those mystical energies that were underneath Arkham Asylum decided to leak underneath Gotham itself, and they blow up on the truck right in front of the Batmobile. The truck and the Batmobile catch on fire, and the truck begins to roll around. Thinking quickly, Batman grabs the thug that was inside of the truck and he questions him. Where are you going? Who hired you? But before he can get any other answers out of the man, Professor Pig walks out of a nearby hideout and demands to know who would sully his perfection. Batman grabs a bat bike and he begins to charge in, battling against all of the Dalo-Otrons that Professor Pig is sending at him. On the other side of Gotham, Carmine sits with his men. The explosion wasn't his. It was someone else intercepting their bomb with their own bomb. And now Batman is involved, and he's busy fighting with Professor Pig. Very good, Carmine says. If your associate is as good as he says, then by morning, the real rulers of this city will have it back from the freaks. But while both of these events are happening, Catwoman has broken into Penguin's hideout and is battling against him because she doesn't care if Carmine and Penguin have their little gang war. But the moment that the poor people of Gotham Underground have been dragged into it, she wants to remove the threat herself. She's wrecking Penguin, but he has a secret weapon up his sleeve and he knocks Catwoman to the ground before he begins to get word that Carmine's underwater attack is starting on his Harborside Casino hideout. Distracted by the attack happening on his hideout, Catwoman gets back up and she jumps on Penguin to continue her assault. But that's when Penguin explains that he isn't doing anything to the Gotham Underground. Just like the missing children, people are missing from the underground and no one knows why. The citizens of Gotham Underground have come to Penguin for his protection, and he's been providing it. He explains that he unified Gotham underneath him to keep the violence from spilling out onto the streets, but Carmine would rather have the old days where children caught bullets meant for thugs. This is a war for the heart of Gotham, and she needs to decide what side she is on, because she's a lot more important than you or I both know. At that exact moment, an explosion rocks the hideout of Penguin, and Carmine looks out over the bay. That boom was beautiful. During all of this, Batman has finally been able to push back these doll creations and get to Professor Pig, the Professor Pig that started all of this by trapping Gordon with Carmine's thug. But when he questions Professor Pig as to what he was doing, what he did to Gordon, Pig just tells him that he's been working for Carmine Falcone. Batman tries to get through to Pig to explain that he's been set up, give him the information that he needs, and Carmine is going to destroy the streets with Pig on them. But Pig doesn't listen, as Batman ends this by destroying the device that Pig is using to control the dolls. Back with Catwoman in Penguin's hideout, she's trying her best to save the poor workers of this casino while it begins to sink into the bay. She gets out who she can, and then she makes her way back out of the water where she saves Penguin from a killer whale that's been set loose in the bay. Batman ties up Pig for the police, and he leaves the area.
Then the new commissioner arrives, Commissioner Forbes,
to set Pig free. This city needs a message loud and clear. The Gotham PD no longer works with Batman or any of the capes. As morning begins to arrive on Gotham, Batman and Catwoman clean up the mess from the explosions. But the war has officially started. Penguin and Carmine's gangs are about to begin battling, and the capes are going to be stuck in the middle of this. Meanwhile, across Gotham, one of Carmine's facilities explodes as Professor Pig has left a bomb in it. He thanks the GCPD for making Gotham his new laboratory. Thus begins Batman Eternal, and things kick off with quite a bang. Gordon is in Blackgate, Tim is fighting against nanobots, and Spectre and Batwing will be battling against Joker's daughter underneath Arkham Asylum real soon to discover what that mystical stuff really is. And Batman himself, well, he's involved in the gang war along with Catwoman. Join us next time where we see where this gang war is going and what's next for the Dark Knight and Catwoman in Hong Kong. I'm Benny, the Comicstorian, and if you want to chat with us about this video or any others, make sure you follow us on Twitter @Comicstorian and Instagram @Comicstorian. I'll see you guys next time right here.